On what was supposed to be a routine Thursday afternoon, the skies above Ahmedabad turned into a scene of unimaginable horror. Air India Flight 171, a Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner destined for London Gatwick, took off from Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel International Airport at precisely 13:39 local time on June 12, 2025. It was a clear day, and the aircraft, loaded with nearly 100 tons of fuel for its long-haul journey, began its ascent as expected. However, within a mere 30 to 40 seconds, something went catastrophically wrong. The pilots, Captain Sumit Sabharwal and co-pilot Clive Kundar, managed to issue a frantic mayday call, a signal that a grave emergency was unfolding in the cockpit just moments after becoming airborne. The massive aircraft, carrying 230 passengers and 12 crew members, faltered in its climb. Instead of soaring towards the clouds, it began a terrifying and rapid descent. Eyewitnesses on the ground reported hearing abnormal sounds from the engines as the plane struggled to gain altitude. In a desperate final act, it appeared the pilots attempted to pitch the aircraft's nose upward, a maneuver likely aimed at avoiding a more populated area and minimizing the loss of life on the ground. This last-ditch effort, however, was not enough to avert the disaster that was about to unfold in the heart of the city's densely populated Asarwa area. The Dreamliner slammed into the hostel block of the BJ Medical College, a prominent institution located perilously close to the airport. The impact was cataclysmic, resulting in a massive explosion that sent a fireball and a thick plume of black smoke into the sky, visible for kilometers around. The crash not only obliterated a section of the hostel, but also tragically claimed the lives of numerous people on the ground who were going about their daily lives. The incident marked a grim milestone. It was the first ever fatal crash and hull loss for a Boeing 787 Dreamliner anywhere in the world, instantly becoming one of India's most devastating aviation disasters in decades. The flight was a mix of holidaymakers, families, students, and business travelers, all with their own stories and destinations, now tragically cut short. On board were people from various nationalities, reflecting the global connection between Ahmedabad and London. The aircraft carried the hopes and dreams of 242 individuals, each one a profound loss. The immediate aftermath was a chaotic and heartbreaking scene of destruction and despair, as the reality of the immense tragedy began to sink in for the city and for the entire nation, leaving everyone to grapple with the sheer scale of the human cost. In the moments following the crash, the area around BJ Medical College transformed into a landscape of chaos and grief. The deafening sound of the impact was quickly replaced by the wail of sirens as rescue teams from the fire brigade, the National Disaster Response Force, and local police rushed to the scene. They were met with a formidable challenge, a raging inferno fueled by tons of jet fuel, which made immediate rescue efforts incredibly dangerous and difficult. The structural integrity of the damaged hostel building was severely compromised, posing a constant threat of collapse to the brave first responders who were working tirelessly to search for any signs of life amidst the rubble. The human toll of the disaster was staggering and became clearer as the hours passed. In total, 274 lives were lost. This grim number included all but one of the 242 people on board the aircraft, along with 32 individuals on the ground. Students, staff, and visitors at the medical college who were in the wrong place at the wrong time. Amidst the complete devastation, a miracle emerged. A single passenger, 40-year-old Vishwas Kumar Ramesh, an Indian-origin British national, was pulled from the wreckage alive. He was immediately rushed to the nearby civil hospital, where he remains under close observation, the sole survivor of a tragedy that claimed everyone else on the flight. The task of identifying the victims has proven to be an agonizingly slow and complex process for the authorities and the families waiting for news. The intensity of the fire and the sheer force of the impact left many remains unidentifiable through conventional means. Forensic teams were deployed to the site to collect evidence, and officials have stated that DNA matching will be required for the majority of the victims. This painstaking process means a long and painful wait for families who are desperate for closure, extending their suffering as they grapple with the uncertainty and the immense loss of their loved ones. The city of Ahmedabad has been plunged into a state of mourning. Makeshift memorials have appeared near the crash site, with people leaving flowers and lighting candles to honor the victims. The community has rallied together, with volunteers providing food, water, and support to the exhausted rescue workers and the grieving families who have gathered in the city. The incident has left a deep scar on the collective psyche of Ahmedabad, a city now forever linked to this horrific air disaster, as residents try to comprehend the sheer scale of the tragedy that occurred in their own backyard. As the initial shock begins to subside, the focus has shifted to a critical question. What caused Air India Flight 171 to crash? A multi-agency investigation is now underway, led by India's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau. Given the international nature of the flight and the aircraft's components, the investigation is a collaborative effort. Experts from the United States National Transportation Safety Board and British air accident investigators have flown to Ahmedabad to provide their expertise. Representatives from the aircraft manufacturer Boeing and the engine maker GE Aerospace are also on site, working closely with the investigative teams to piece together the events that led to the disaster. A crucial breakthrough in the investigation came with the recovery of both the cockpit voice recorder and the flight data recorder, commonly known as the black boxes. These devices are vital as they hold the key to understanding the aircraft's final moments, including the conversations in the cockpit and critical flight parameters. However, reports have surfaced that the recorders were severely damaged in the crash, and the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau's laboratory in Delhi faced challenges in retrieving the data, highlighting potential limitations in India's investigative infrastructure. The data is now being analyzed with international assistance to create a precise timeline of the flight's tragically short journey. The investigation is currently focusing on several key areas. The initial analysis is centered on the aircraft's powerful GE engines, as well as the functionality of the flaps and landing gear. Investigators are trying to determine if an engine failure occurred immediately after the V1 decision speed, the point of no return during takeoff. Some aviation experts and analysts like pilot Gaurav Taneja, who simulated the flight, have suggested a possible combination of factors, including an engine malfunction combined with potential pilot error, such as failing to retract the landing gear, which would have created significant drag and hindered the aircraft's ability to climb. This tragedy has also cast a harsh spotlight on Air India's safety record and the oversight provided by India's aviation regulator, the Directorate General of Civil Aviation. In the years leading up to the crash, Air India had faced scrutiny for safety lapses, including fines for violations and warnings over maintenance procedures. More disturbingly, recent whistleblower allegations from former flight attendants claim the airline and the Directorate General of Civil Aviation covered up a serious safety incident involving a Dreamliner in 2024. These reports, combined with concerns about the Directorate General of Civil Aviation being understaffed and underfunded, have raised serious questions about whether systemic failures contributed to this disaster. The ripple effects of the Air India Flight 171 crash extend far beyond the immediate devastation in Ahmedabad. For the families of the 274 victims, the tragedy has created a void that can never be filled. They are now faced with the daunting emotional and logistical challenges of identifying their loved ones and coming to terms with their sudden, violent loss. The community, both in Ahmedabad and in London, is united in grief, sharing stories of the lives that were cut short and offering support to one another in this dark time. The human impact is immeasurable, a painful reminder of the fragility of life and the immense responsibility that rests on the shoulders of the aviation industry. The corporate response from the involved companies has been swift but cautious. Both Boeing and GE Aerospace have expressed their deepest condolences and have pledged full cooperation with the investigation, scaling back their public activities out of respect for the victims. Air India, now under the ownership of the Tata Group, is facing intense pressure and scrutiny. The airline has initiated its own internal review, inspecting its fleet of Boeing 787s, and has reported no major safety issues. However, the Directorate General of Civil Aviation has already taken action against 3 senior Air India officials for serious and repeated violations, signaling that regulatory patience with the airline's safety culture may be wearing thin. The economic consequences of the crash are also beginning to emerge. The incident is expected to result in one of the largest aviation insurance payouts in recent history, estimated at around $475 million, covering the aircraft's hull and passenger liability. Industry experts predict that this will lead to a sharp increase in insurance premiums for all Indian carriers, particularly those operating Boeing aircraft. These increased operational costs, along with a potential rise in aircraft leasing rates for Boeing models, may ultimately be passed on to passengers in the form of higher air ticket prices, potentially impacting air travel affordability in the region. Ultimately, the crash of Flight 171 serves as a tragic and urgent wake-up call for the entire aviation ecosystem in India and beyond. The grief and anger of the families and the public have ignited a powerful demand for greater transparency, stricter regulatory oversight, and an unwavering commitment to safety from all airlines and manufacturers. This disaster must not be just another statistic. It must become a catalyst for meaningful change, ensuring that lessons are learned and robust measures are implemented to prevent such a catastrophe from ever happening again, honoring the memory of those who were lost by making the skies safer for everyone.
So hit that subscribe and ring that bell too, for history's wonders waiting for you. Billy at Works, let the knowledge ignite, exploring the past with all of our might.